Hi everyone, Radhe Radhe. So in this verse, we're going to be doing chapter 7, verse 5. And Bhagwan Shri Krishna here talks about, now in the previous verse, he talked about the material energies that he has. They're classified into 8 types. And now he's talking about the superior energy, which is the souls. So it's getting deeper and deeper, and I absolutely love it. So let's sing this verse together. I'm going to, so I read the commentaries of Prabhupada is talking basically about how Krishna holds. So it's going a little bit deeper than the verse itself. So, and then Swami Mukundanand talks about impersonalist versus personalist. Now, this is exactly what I'm searching right now. I'm very actively seeking to understand the impersonalist versus personalist perspectives. And I've read it, but I feel like I need to read it many times in order to really understand it. So I'm going to probably do at some point, I'm going to do another video on that. And I'm going to refer back to chapter 7, verse 5 in that. And if I remember to, then I'll, because that's going to happen in the future sometime, and I'm not sure when. So if I remember to, then I'll put a link to that video once I've uploaded it onto in this description. But I'm not sure at this moment when that's going to happen. And if I'll remember as well, hopefully I'll remember. This is the commentary of Swami Mukundanand in here is very, very good to explain the difference between personalist and impersonalist and why personalist. Okay, so let's sing the verse together. अपरेयमितस्त्वन्यां प्रकृतिं विधि मे परां जीवभूता महाबाहो ययेदं धार्यते jagat. Okay, what he says here is, besides these, O mighty armed Arjuna, Mahabaho, there is another superior energy of mind which comprises the living entities who are exploiting the resources of this material inferior nature. So in the previous verse, he talked about his eight classifications of the material inferior nature, and right now there is a superior energy which comprises the living entity. So he's saying our souls are superior energy. We are okay, let's go do word by word. I'm going ahead. Let's do word by word. So apara, inferior, this, besides this, itaha, too. But besides this inferior energy, there is another anyam, another prakritim energy. That's also prakriti energy. It's superior energy, but it's also prakriti energy. So us as souls are prakriti as well. Vidhi, just try to understand me. Param superior, Jiva Bhutam. So he's calling us Jiva, comprising of the living entity. So Jiva Bhutam is superior, Param, Mahabaho, mighty armed one, Arjun. Yaya, by whom this dharayate is utilized or exploited. So by whom these jivas, the living entities, utilize by whom, like this material world, Jagat. So these jivas utilize this material world. Okay, so Prabhupada is talking here about in the previous verse, he talked about the 8 classifications: earth, water, fire, air, ether. These are the gross things, and then the subtle things are the mind, intelligence, and false ego. Gross and subtle, are products of the inferior energy, and the living entities are exploiting these inferior energies for different purposes, are the superior energy of the Supreme Lord, also Prakriti. He's mentioned that very clearly in the verse. And due to its energy, due to this energy, the entire material world functions. The cosmic manifestation has no power to act unless it's moved by the superior energy, which is the living entities. And this living entities is not human beings only, by the way. It is all living entities. So animals, insects, birds, plants, trees, whatever, all of it. Every living entity can control these dead entities, basically, and they're the ones that run this material world. Energies, so this is the thing. Energies are always controlled by the energetic. So therefore, so that's why we can control. We are the energetic, and we control all of this material inferior energy. And then he goes on to talk about how the Lord controls the living entities. all the living entities are controlled by the Lord. So all of this, rest of this thing is talking about how the Lord controls. Supreme Lord Krishna is the controller and living entities are controlled by him. So, but this goes deeper than the verse. So let me go to Swami Mukundanand here. And this is where it gets really, really good. So I will go over it a little bit, whatever I understood, but I want to come back to this and really read it and really understand and learn it. Okay. So Jiva Shakti is the spiritual energies, which includes all the living souls of the world. And so the Jiva is the individual soul. So there are many perspectives of the relationship between God and the Jiva. So the non-dualists say Jivo Brahmaiva na Paraha. The soul itself is God. But then the concept gives rise to questions such as, if the soul is God, then God is the most powerful and Maya is his subservient energy. So the souls are always overpowered by Maya. Then how can Maya be stronger than God? I'm sure they have an answer to this. Like, it's covered right now, or the soul is covered, which the dualists also talk about, right? The soul is covered by 30 miles of covering. But it makes sense also, like if it's we're covered, but God himself cannot be covered, right? So if we were God ourselves, then we could not be covered. That totally makes sense to me. Okay, the soul is always gripped by ignorance and misery. How can God be subject to ignorance? So, like, that covering is not possible. If we are God, then that covering is not possible because God cannot be covered. That also makes sense. It's the same thing. It's basically similar to the Maya thing. The Vedas say that God is all pervading in this world. Individual souls should also be able to exist everywhere and anywhere at all times. So, where is the question of going to heaven or hell? But they don't say that we go to heaven or hell. They say that we merge with Brahman. So that's why I'm not certain about this point. There is only one God, but the souls are countless. If the soul itself is God, there should be many gods. But again, they say that we merge with Brahman. We're part of Brahman and we just merge with Brahman. So this point doesn't also make sense to me. But the first 2 points really make sense to me. And I definitely, as I've mentioned, I'm very much in the dualist. Intuitively, I'm very much in the dualist perspective, but I'm trying to figure out Shastra Praman or scriptural proof for that. So this is excellent for me. And then the dualist philosophers state that souls and God are separate. And so even though it may answer some of the above questions, it is still an incomplete philosophy. That's what I need to dive into, like how does it answer some of those questions. So I'll come back to this later on and dive into it more and like do a study. Probably I think it'll take me some time to really study this commentary of Swami Mukundanand. He says that the soul is part of the Jiva Shakti, and as explained earlier, Maya, the material energy, is also subservient. Thus, God is supreme. He is the governor of both lower material and higher spiritual energies. Yes, that makes total sense, right? Now, let's see what the Vishnu Puran and other scriptures and saints have said. Yeah, just as the sun rises in one place, but the sunlight pervades the entire solar system, there's one God and infinite power. His infinite powers pervades and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, the soul is the energy of God and he's the supreme energetic. So he's the energetic of the souls and the souls are a jiva and jiva is energetic to the material inferior energy, which is the energy. Yeah. Okay, so I'll come back to this. This thing is I'll come back to this at some point, and I will try to remember to refer that link whenever I come back in this verse. Okay, and please, yeah, feel free to read it, and if you understand also deeper, then please feel free to comment online, and I would love to have a discussion like that. Okay, wish you a day filled with spiritual growth. Radhe Radhe.